I will now turn the floor to Gulmira Rzayeva from Azerbaijan, who is a research associate with the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies, and who recently published a very solid study on the outlook of Azerbaijani gas supplies to Europe. Very recommendable reading. Gulmira?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I also would like to thank the Aspen Institute for inviting me to this conference almost every year and giving me a chance to speak about all these projects from the Azerbaijani perspective. Mr. Ozcu gave us an excellent overview of the changing landscape of energy security, and I would like to focus on more today on the implications for Azerbaijan. Well, indeed, ever-evolving shift in energy security has demonstrated that not only the rules of the games are changing, but also investment level have decreased, price volatility has increased, and despite all these changes, our region, the Caspian region, remains one of the most important regions in terms of hydrocarbon production and its transportation. I mean the now major project that was kind of initiated by the EU and the Azerbaijani government, the Southern Gas Corridor, all this strategic value chain starting from the wellhead from very beginning Sangachal terminal and going all the way to the European market. I put here in this slide, and you can see the segments of the project in the map, I put 3 points that would highlight the importance of these strategic highlights, not only for the European customers, for the EU, but also for Azerbaijan. Probably one of the most important aspects of this project, among other things, apart from the diversification of the sources, is that this infrastructure has growing importance, strategic importance, especially nowadays in the background of the geopolitical tensions in the region, is not only because the EU will receive some 10 plus BCM of gas coming from alternative sources, but also because the other potential suppliers in the region and much bigger suppliers can use this infrastructure to deliver more gas to the market. Because without the projects that initiated by Azerbaijan, such as the segments of the Southern Gas Corridor, the SCP South Caucasus pipeline and its expansion, the Tana pipeline, which can be seen as a kind of a backbone of the entire value chain, and probably one of the, it's the most important segment of the value chain, and top in the EU territory, the EU would have had another major concern as to how to bring the additional volume of gas from other neighboring countries, from countries that have much more gas reserves, such as Turkmenistan, in the future maybe Iran and other potential suppliers, to the market, because without this infrastructure, the EU would have had a major concern as to where to get this multi-billion investment to build such a strategic infrastructure. And another important point, I think, with this project, and this is more for gas producer country, for Azerbaijan, is that in order to achieve the final investment decision in other upstream projects, non-Shah-Deniz projects in the country, you have to have first secure the infrastructure, you know, the transportation of this gas to the market. And this has been solved now. So we have the existing infrastructures, and the IOCs, also a state-owned company of SOCAR, before achieving FID, they, we can say that have already secured this infrastructure to transport this gas to the market. As you know, the sales and purchase contracts have been already signed with the buyers in Europe and also in Georgia and Turkey. and it was signed in September 2013, and there are 9 European companies that will buy this gas from the Shah Deniz stage 2. The Italian market, which was selected in 2013, is, I think, very important market in terms of, and very actually flexible and suitable market in terms of sending the Azerbaijani gas to other neighboring countries. Because if you look at the map on your right-hand side, you can see how Italy very well connected with its neighboring countries, and you can see the pipelines that already exist, and of course they can be expanded for sending additional volumes, and only small investment will be needed to develop the reverse flow in order to send Shah Deniz gas to other neighboring countries. Also, the companies that will buy Azerbaijani gas, for instance, the biggest Shah Deniz gas buyer is GDF Suez, the French company, contracted 65 BCM of gas for 25 years. And this company has its clients in Italy, Belgium, and France. And GDF Suez probably will be interested to take this gas to its clients in those countries. Other midstream company which has a share in the TAP project is Fluxys, and this company co-owns a system of transit gas which stretches from northern Italy across Switzerland and into Germany, and it also connects Switzerland and Benelux countries, so it's France and the UK. So as you see, literally, actually, theoretically, it's possible to take this gas to those countries and also all the way to the UK. Of course, the economics is the question, and this should be economically viable to take the gas to all these countries. But the point is that it's possible and the infrastructure exists to do so. Another important, I think, midstream project in Europe, which also connected to the Southern Gas Corridor, is Ionian Adriatic pipeline. Why this project is important is because it will connect Italy with the Western Balkan countries. And this market is extremely important and has growing importance because this is the only region in Europe where demand will be tripled by 2030, from current some 5+ BCM to 17 BCM in 2030. So this is quite an important market, and if we consider that the gas price in this market is the highest, then this is important market for, I think, all the gas producers. And YAP project, and this map is made based on the feasibility studies of the YAP project. It shows how much gas could be delivered to each of these countries, and this pipeline can serve some 5 BCM of gas delivering to those countries. With regard to the future production, so-called next generation fields in Azerbaijan, I think the Southern Gas Corridor should not be limited, and probably will not be limited to the Shah Deniz field only, because there are a number of other, maybe smaller fields in Azerbaijan that currently are under different stage of development, appraisal, and exploration. And this is a free, uncontracted gas that is yet to be sold to the potential buyers. We did a research, as Professor Dadau mentioned, at the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies, trying to define how much gas could be available, uncontracted gas, could be available in Azerbaijan, and most importantly, when this gas could be available. And we have put here the 3 major main kind of contenders to be developed in next decade by 2030, in the 2020s. So first contender is the Absheron field, which can add some 5 BCM of gas to the export portfolio of Azerbaijan, and this gas could be available in the end of 2021 or the 2022 the latest. The next contender is Ümit field and Bebek prospective structure. These two fields can add some 5 to 7 BCM of gas in 2026 and 2027. The third one is ACG deep layer gas, or in other words, ACG non-associated gas. You know that the ACG, Azeri Güneşli field is already being explored. It's an oil field, but it has also gas deposits in the deeper layers. So this could be developed in 2027 and 2028, and some 4 to 5 BCM of gas can be produced annually. So according to our research, by 2030, additional some more than 15 BCM of gas can be available for export in Azerbaijan. This is, as I said, beyond Shah Deniz. It's non-contracted gas. Of course, the ramp-up of this gas and the production of this gas, development, appraisal, exploration of these fields depend on many factors, and we took into account all these factors. And one of these factors is technical, so availability of drilling rigs is an issue currently in Azerbaijan. So we should have first have in place the drilling rigs as to start developing these fields. And also the commerciality of the project is one of the, of course, most important aspect to develop these fields. Given the low gas price environment now in our region, in the potential markets in Europe and in Turkey, this will challenge probably the final investment decision in those countries. So having said that, having looked at the potential gas production in Azerbaijan in 2020s, of course we try to look also at the potential markets for these additional volumes, and there are two natural markets for this gas. One is the Turkish market, and another one is the European market. So Turkey may face supply shortage after 2016, and this is before the Shah Deniz gas will arrive to the market, due to the rising demand. If you look at the charts, both charts provided here, and this is the projections of Potage, Turkey's demand will be doubled by 2030. And it's growing very rapidly. So you can see that from current some 50 BCM of gas, the demand could reach some 70 BCM in already 2023. So for this reason, Turkey may face supply shortage, and the 3 BCM of gas that Potage has already agreed with Gazprom to provide this is an additional volumes for the Turkish market, can save this situation, at least for a few years. The second kind of a supply squeeze that can occur in Turkey is we think that we could be after 2021 and 2022 when possible supply, when the current existing contracts with Shah Deniz Phase 1, some 6.6 BCM of gas, and the existing contract, the Gazprom Western Line contract, some 4 BCM will be expired. So we don't know whether these contracts will be expanded. There are a number of factors that will affect the expansion of the contract, and this is, and first of all, the current liberalization process in Turkey, and the Turkish gas market liberalization market law 4646 that says that a Potage cannot expand existing contract or conclude the new contract, and this is the private companies that should do it. So this will also affect the expansion of these contracts. The another issue is the price. The price in the Turkish market is quite competitive. It's even higher than average European price. But the thing is, Potage is likely to would want to renegotiate the existing prices with the with the sellers, including Shah Deniz consortium, and would want probably to review the contracts, because Turkey, Potage will straighten its hands with the alternative projects that it may have in the future, such as Turkish Stream or other projects. And another issue is that in order for private companies in Turkey to import gas from the new sources, they should have a permit for that, like import license obtained from Energy Market Regulation Authority. Private companies, they don't have, as of yet, these licenses permit to import gas, for instance, in the future from Azerbaijan, but I don't see that this is an issue. I think this is something that can be solved within short time period. So as I said, the second natural market for new volumes gas from next generation fields in Azerbaijan is the European market. And this market is probably currently highly volatile in terms of having all this change in the place, and not always in a positive direction. The demand, demand in the market is going down rapidly, and actually we will not see any demand growth at least by 2020. And this market is at its best stagnant currently. However, there will be quite a good niche in Europe to import gas from alternative sources. Because up to the mid-2020s, the EU companies, they are currently, excuse me, are contractually obliged to import some 115 BCM of Gazprom gas, and this volume can be reduced to around 65 BCM of gas because, and I see that the reason of reducing the contracted gas volumes of the European buyers with the Gazprom is that the countries with the strong geopolitical fears will most likely to want to reduce the contracted volumes or even to terminate or nullify import from Gazprom. And this is possible, and you can see the gas contracts that will be expired in mainly Southeast European countries. So the second, however, the main driver of this niche, the niche for the gas import from alternative sources is inevitable decline of indigenous gas production in Europe. And it will be declining rapidly by 2030, and according to the International Energy Agency, the gas production loss of Europe will be around 110 BCM by 2030. So this is a good niche for gas coming from alternative sources. Of course, you can say that there is always an alternative and a possibility or chance to import LNG, which is always available at an immediate and flexible manner. Yes, this is true, but there are two main issues with LNG, and this is the volume and the price. In terms of volumes, in this table on your right-hand side, you can see that the US LNG, the US actually LNG projects and companies have already contracted some volumes with the European and Asian buyers. So the European buyers have contracted some in total some 27.2 BCM of gas, and these buyers, European buyers, are mentioned in the table in blue. However, not all these volumes will stay in Europe, will remain in Europe. Some of them will be unsold, some 27 million ton of gas, which is approximately 35 BCM of gas have been contracted, and out of these volumes, 22 BCM of gas will remain in Europe. The rest volume have been already contracted based on the secondary contracts, have been unsold to the Asian market. And you can see the companies that will buy this gas from the European sellers. Yeah. And the second issue with US LNG is the price. The US LNG for Europe is not a cheap option. If you see at the table above, you can see that the European buyers should pay 110 or 120% of the Henry Hub price more for the US LNG. And this will include $1 for, from $1 to $2 for shipping, and also, of course, the regasification cost, which will amount in total $8 to $10 per MMBTU. This is quite a high price for, especially currently, for high price in the market. And just to compare this US LNG price with MBP price, you can see the chart below. There is a difference between these two prices, and difference is from $2 to $3 per MMBTU. So a few concluding remarks. As was said, Azerbaijan is the only firm non-Russian option for supplies of more than 10 BCM of gas to the market around 2020s, given that this is the only consortium, the Chandinese consortium, that have already secured all the binding agreements. The current low price in Europe will challenge the new projects and delay FIDs in the other potential alternative sources of the countries that could provide this, some additional volumes of gas. And in that sense, Chandinese has an advantageous position. European policymakers are downplaying future role of gas, creating uncertainties for the potential investors, and this is mainly because of the geopolitical reason. From commercial point of view, of course, Azerbaijan can, given, as I said, this low price environment, both in long-term contracts and in the hubs in Europe, Azerbaijan can also, this is kind of an option, sell the uncontracted gas or free gas at the domestic market as well. The price should be recovered in Europe if Europe wants to see more gas from alternative sources or to diversify its supply sources, because otherwise it will really challenge the future FIDs. And there is such a demand in place, well, not demand as such, but more niche for gas from alternative sources, and this is because LNG is not a competitor, I think, to pipe gas, at least for short and mid-run in terms of price and the volumes. So I stop here. Thank you.